Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and of course, Infogalactic. I'm trying something a little bit different now, so I'm not actually used to this particular system. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting experiment. I'm actually using OBS rather than the usual Streamlabs OBS, because for some reason Streamlabs stopped picking up my camera. So anyhow, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. Let me know if everything is good. That's a good point. I should have mentioned Social Galactic. I've actually been busy with that today, and so it's interesting to see how that's all been working. I've been really busy with that today, obviously. Getting used to it. It's kind of interesting, the difference between OBS and Streamlabs OBS, because this doesn't have, I can't see the YouTube chats in the OBS, although I can see them online here. So also let me know if you do a super chat. I don't know if I can see a super chat in this setup right here. So if you do a super chat and I ignore it, please make sure that you let me know so that I have some idea that it has happened. Wouldn't want to find out that I'm just completely missing it for some reason. Reluctant Messiah asks, Vox, because of EU rules, can you no longer post on Social Galactic? No, I'm not. We're not worried about me. It's not the question about. Okay, thanks, Bobio Jimbo. He tested it out, and we can't. I can see the super chats through this window, so that's good. It's all good. One thing that I actually don't like about this is that for some reason, and I don't know why, the green screen doesn't work quite as well with this. For example, if I switch the background, actually it doesn't look so bad here, but it's not quite as reliable in some ways as the Streamlabs green screen. I don't know why. Ganji Blobflanka said, "Seen the God Emperor Trump in the Italian Carnival? I have indeed." That was pretty impressive. I maybe want to go over there and check it out. So anyhow, I guess it's working better than I thought. Better than I thought live. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm a little bit scattered here, because it's blurrier than the other streams. What's blurrier, the overall signal, or the background, or what? You'll have to let me know. It's also possible that the cameras, see, it's not the full picture. It's larger, but the picture falls off the screen. I have no idea what you're even talking about there, to be honest with you. When I'm looking at this here on, let's switch to the studio. Yeah, whether I look at studio mode or whether I look at the live mode, it's just what I see is let me see here. I can actually see the stream. Must be something on your end, because what I'm looking at on the live stream here on YouTube is actually correct. It's exactly what I'm seeing. So, oh, I see the line between you and your background. Everything else is the same. Yeah. So anyhow, we'll work on it. We'll figure it out. I want to work on improving the camera focus and all, but we'll get to that later. It's a lot better than it used to be, so it's adequate for now. Looks the same as always, Ralph says. That's good. Okay, so we'll talk for a little bit about Social Galactic. Social Galactic is going very well. It's going extremely well. We actually have had as many as 450 concurrent users without any problem at all. The people have been behaving very well. The discussions have been quite good. There's good interaction. There's already nearly 2,000 users, and I'm very stoked about that. Well, the background is higher resolution than me. If you think about it, I mean, this background is well over 1920, whereas the camera is only 1280 by 720. So what's the bookcase a green screen too? No, that's my actual library. So that's funny. I actually the YouTube is lame. Social Galactic will probably pass up Gab by the end of the month. I don't think you realize how few concurrent users are on Gab. And so that's part of the reason they're having tech difficulties is because they used, all their stuff is third-party stuff bolted together. And so it's, we're not actually concerned at all about Gab. In fact, we're glad Gab exists because a lot of the activity at Gab is not the sort of activity that we want at Social Galactic. Anaf says, loving Social Galactic, lots of fun, save for the occasional Islam. Anaf, I've seen them. They're not Islamophobes. They don't like Islam, but that's fine. It's great that you can have discussions with people, and you've behaved fine, they've behaved fine, but discuss. I would no sooner recommend discussing heavy Islamic theology than I would discuss heavy Christian theology. I'm sorry, heavy Islamic theology with non-Muslims than I would recommend discussing heavy Christian theology with non-Christians. It's it's fine if you want to talk about Islam. I don't have any problem with that. But you also need to keep in mind that it's not necessarily something that the vast majority of people who are on there want to discuss. So if people want to discuss it with you, great. Justin says, I can't find people on it. Yeah, they need to work on the searching for people. That's one of the things that I noticed. That I think it was working actually before, but the latest update seemed to have broken it. Let's see here. But I saw some of the discussions you were having, and I didn't see any problem with either side. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is that we're not interested in making it a place for people to engage in bants and all that stuff. See, Jason Argala, you don't understand the point at all. Gab is a better brand name, to be honest. We are not trying to build a brand. Do you notice the biggest difference between the way that we approached it and the way that Gab approached it? We're not running around attempting to obtain millions of dollars in investment. We're not running around attempting to get anybody to buy it. It's a place for people who want to have normal conversations about subjects in which they're interested, to have normal conversations with regular people. And yes, there will be banning. Absolutely. We've told people that we don't want any vulgarity. We've told people that we don't want any spicy memes. We don't want any dank memes. We don't want any of the trolling. And we don't want any of the posting naked pictures of people, whether they're of age or not. If you want any of that stuff, there are already multiple solutions for you. You know, so no, Social Galactic is not just for politics. I mean, heck, just look at my own posts. The stream.me feed is down. Okay. I'll have to look into that and see what's up. Again, I'm just... Yes, exactly. It's Twitter without the fun. We don't want the kind of fun that you enjoy. If that is what you think is fun, then you should not join Social Galactic. It's not for you. You know, you can no, naked is not good if it's 18 plus. Here's the thing. Here's what you need to understand. There are literally tens of thousands of other sites at which you can look at naked people. There are literally hundreds of other sites where you can indulge yourself in all kinds of vulgarities and obscenities. You can sit and type them into your word processor all you like. Anaf says, "Oh, I have no complaints, just giving my raw first impressions. The vast majority of folks on there carry themselves with great poise and manners." That's our object, and that's our goal. John Yosari says, "What if they're not naked, but they're wearing a shirt with..." See, when we see people trying to play games, and we see people trying to get around the rules, that's precisely why we haven't put up any rules. Because the minute that we put up rules, then someone's going to claim that they're not violating them, and so forth. And you know, it's not of any interest to us. You have to keep in mind that there are lots of other places that you can engage in and indulge in whatever degeneracy you want to engage in. And so there's no reason whatsoever for us to provide that or allow for it. Joseph Goebbels said, "Would we be able to talk about conspiracy theories?" Certainly. You know, you can talk about the moon landing. You can talk about the sinking of the Maine. You can talk about whatever it is that you want. But you have to do so in a civil manner. You know, if you're going to be, if you're going to be attacking people, it's not the place for you. Durlex Sedlex says, "Nothing stopping you from having a Social Galactic and a Twitter account. Troll meme bants over there with the rest of the normies. Leave it at the core's door." That's correct. You know, and we're not interested in playing thought police. We are very interested in playing manners police. You're going to be civil or you're not going to be there. You know, it's not about, I'll give you an example. Twitter is the exact opposite. Twitter will let you post whatever vulgarity you want. They'll let you post whatever nudity you want. but they won't let you say learn to code. Okay? That's the exact opposite. You know, we will let you say learn to code all you want. You know, we will let you doubt whether historical events ever happened and so forth. But here's the point. If you're being a prick about it, if you can't do a post without saying that the Holocaust never happened, or the moon landing never happened, or Jimmy Carter assassinated JFK. I mean, if you're a tedious monomaniac and you're annoying everybody, then everybody is just going to shut you out. And so it's fine to discuss things. It's fine to share your opinion. It's fine to express your doubts about the theory of evolution by natural selection. It's even fine to confuse concurrent and successional mutational regimes. But there's going to be civility, and there's going to be order, and we're going to make sure that we enforce and impose that. No question. No, foul language is not permitted. You know, we may actually, I mean, the chances are pretty good that we're going to have a no SJWs policy, simply because SJWs are totally incapable of behaving in a civil and adult manner. Escape Velo. I already hit my image upload limit on Social Galactic. I'll be very impressed if you're actually a bronze or silver user. I don't think that's very likely. Yeah, yeah. My shirt is like worn away. There's this couple little spots that are worn away, and they're a bit greenish, and then the background shows up there for some reason. I don't know why. Do women need a permit from their husbands to join in? No. I'm not the one who... Oh, Theodore Bray. I thought, okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're not... Here's the thing. We are not going to mess around with this stuff. If the minute that we're... Keep in mind, I've successfully run a blog for 16 years. I've seen every little game in the book. And, you know, as soon as I see somebody is a game player who is trying to manipulate and trying to push to the edges and all that sort of stuff, then we're just gonna mute them. We're just going to shut them down, hard and fast. 17, that box, nice. Let's see here. Missed a question or two here. Oh, about the what will the ratio of moderators to users be to require you to maintain the civil Twitter? Lower than you think, because we have a whole slew of technical tools that we're developing, from AI that's capable of recognizing certain images to the image upload limits on the free accounts. You know, somebody mentioned that they already hit their upload limit. We intentionally have an upload limit that is very low and doesn't really allow much more than an avatar and a header. And we may actually eliminate that altogether and provide a selection of avatars and headers that free accounts can use for the first 30 days. If they prove that they're able to behave for 30 days, then they'll get the 1 meg upload, and then they can do that. Remember, I'm not just a game designer. I'm actually a game designer who has designed moderation systems for large social, not exactly social media, they were more shopping related stuff, but I've designed this stuff for other people before. And so there's a lot of things that you can do that don't preclude somebody who is really determined to cause trouble, but it presents a sufficiently hard target that it dissuades probably 90% of the people who are prone to monkey wrenching. And that means that if you reduce that number enough, then the people who do engage in that kind of activity stand out very, very quickly. And it's very easy for the moderators to do it. Plus, we're also going to have a gamification system that is going to encourage regular users to hunt trolls and to hunt monkey wrenchers. And so when you've got the entire community that is ready, willing, and able to hunt these folks down and point them out to the moderators who can then take them out, we think that it's going to be very effective. Does using Social Galactic help in the culture war? Yes, it will. Is there an IQ requirement? Yes, but it's pretty low. You do have to pass a very simple addition test. Now that Pocahontas is running, how big and how intense will this Trumpslide be? Well, I think that it is going to be, it's going to range from large to incredibly big. Here, let's have a look at this. Now, this is a chart of the total approval rating for Trump versus Obama. The green line, which is lower, is the line for the Trump's approval. The blue line is Obama's approval. And although it's a little bit difficult to see from here because there was a spike in the Obama line, but at the moment, Trump's total approval rating is it's a point above Obama's at the same point in his administration. Now, if you keep in mind, Obama won re-election against a moderately competent candidate. Romney was not, I don't consider Romney to have been a strong candidate, but, he was a tall, good-looking, well-spoken, good guy with executive hair. He knew what he knew what he was doing. He had plenty of centrist appeal. He had plenty of establishment support. And yet Obama didn't have too much trouble beating him. Now, it's true that Obama was a media darling, but you need to keep in mind that Trump is more popular than Obama, despite having had the media coming at him harder than any president that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Even Reagan did not come in for the kind of attacks that Trump has been enduring nonstop. Margot asks, do you think Trump's second term will resemble Obama's in terms of racial politicization? I think it's going to continue to get worse, and I don't think it has anything to do with Obama or Trump. I think that it has to do with the changing demographics of the system. We're already seeing blacks, whites, and Asians, and also Jews, essentially going to war with each other within the Democratic Party. LRN News says, I made a poll on Social Galactic about the State of the Union speech, and one person slightly disapproved and the rest slightly approved. Yeah, but you got to keep in mind that we are outliers. We are the, 3 to 5% on the extreme right. And so Trump's speech went over huge with the civic nationalists. And that's why he is going to win so crushingly. No, Trump is not a globalist, but he is also not a genuine nationalist. He's a civic nationalist. And so, what he is doing is he is shoring up his left wing. He's shoring up his left flank. And so, obviously some of the stuff that he's saying is going to stick in our craw. But, Trump was not the ideal candidate for most of us. Trump was the best available candidate. He wasn't the ideal candidate. And I haven't forgotten that. I mean, I think that he's actually been a better president than I expected. He's been a much better president than I expected. He's actually been one of the best presidents that we've seen since, who knows? I mean, you got to go back to Coolidge in some ways. And so Kevin doesn't understand that politicians don't always speak the literal truth. And so, so we have to be patient. We have to see what's going on. And also, there's a tremendous amount of activity going on behind the scenes. I was watching a bit of, I think it was the first Tom Cruise Mission Impossible. And one of the things that really struck me is here's this really nasty, violent battle going on between a pharmaceutical company, a wealthy group of essentially financial gangsters, and then the rogue government group or whatever that Tom Cruise represents, Ethan Hunt's character represents. And when you look at this, and you see how like the rest of the people are just totally ignorant about this taking place. And we're seeing all kinds of craziness taking place. Who knows about this whole Q thing, whether it's complete nonsense or not. But, even the people that don't buy into any of the conspiracy stuff are wondering where the hell Ruth Bader Ginsburg is. They're wondering what's going on with regards to Brexit. France is practically in a state of civil war. Durlex Sedlex says, the good news is the more vehemently those changing demographics oppose him, the more they'll set the stage for a hardline nationalist that can come after him. That's absolutely true. And so, and if you look at what's taking place in France and what's taking place in Italy, it's astonishing when you look at how much has changed just in the past 3 years. Spectrum NLD says, Vox, how soon would you reckon some mainstream media outlet is going to bash Social Galactic? Oh, they're going to do it as soon as they can. But because they're going to have a difficult time doing it because of the way that we are imposing this very civility. You need to keep in mind that a lot of those nasty Nazi trolls on Gab are actually there. They're left-wingers who are there to discredit Gab. They're poison pills. And we know that. That's one of the reasons why we will not tolerate anybody trying to play those games, because whether they're doing it honestly or whether they're trying to do it to discredit Social Galactic, we don't care. We're not going to permit it. And so it's not going to stop anyone from calling it names and saying, oh, it's the new Nazi Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Of course they're going to say that. They always say that. They say that about everything. But what we can ensure is that anyone who checks it out immediately sees that that's a lie. They immediately see that it's fake news. And that was one of the big mistakes that Gab made. That was something that I warned Andrew Torba about. I said, you can't let this kind of behavior go, because that's all that people, the press is already going to say terrible things about you. And when people show up and see it and they realize that it's exactly as bad as the media says, or in some cases worse, then they're not going to stick around. They're not going to use it. We're going to make sure that it is a good and reasonable experience. And I would encourage those of you who are on the site or who are supporters of the site and supporters of Infogalactic, make sure that people have a good experience. When they do a first post, give them a thumbs up. Give the occasional stranger a follow, that kind of thing. The better experience that people have, the less they're going to believe the fake news from the media attacking it. And Anthony Dunn has a good question. Do you think that Green New Deal was a massive AOC own goal, or was it a test to introduce the masses to UN Agenda 21 under a different name? It's the latter. I mean, to a certain extent, you could say it's both, because it's not going to be possible. It's not going to work at all. But, they're not trying to appeal to rational people. They're just using rhetoric, and the Green New Deal is meant to appeal to, I don't know. To me, that's frankly, it's pretty heavily boomer propaganda. I don't think it's going to be very effective. The whole New Deal thing means nothing to the millennials. To the extent that it means anything to Gen Xers, we don't think much of it. We don't have an opinion about FDR. He's too long ago. John Smith says, what's your opinion on proprietarianism? I don't really have one. I haven't really read up much on it. I've heard about it, but I can't say that I have an opinion on it. Vox, I'm in the UK. Should I be looking to get out? Not if you're English. You guys are doing the right thing. You guys are getting out of the EU. Now you need to, reclaim your country from the traitorous elite class that is desperately trying to keep the EU's leash on you. It's actually called the Red New Deal. Yeah, but everybody understands that green is red. When do you think the time will come to get out of the large cities, Vox? I think you should get out of it now. I don't think that I wouldn't want to be in a large city right now. That's the art of civilization, is allowing people to live in large cities without dying in large quantities. And civilization is in the process of breaking down. It's under attack. And so what's going to happen? The same thing that happened before. They figured out how to keep people alive in large numbers in the cities. The problem is the cities are even larger now than they were. A million people used to be the size of the largest cities in the world. And it's going to go back to that at some point in time. in the not too terribly distant future. We're actually publishing a book pretty soon. We've been translated. It's a very popular book in France. It's called the Rue de Barbars, which literally means streets of or the barbarian streets. But it doesn't really have the same context. I mean, the context in English would be more like the urban apocalypse. And, that is a scenario that is unfortunately more likely than not. The world's not going to end. The world is not going to end, but the ability to live in really large cities in really large numbers is. Let's see. London is ruined. Yeah, I mean London is no longer English. It's definitely a foreign land within the land. Yeah, it's really incredible. Somebody made a comment about what's going on with in France. I mean, it's really incredible. I don't think people realize that someone actually set fire to the equivalent of Nancy Pelosi. The French equivalent of Nancy Pelosi had his house set on fire yesterday. Another yellow vest was badly hurt today and lost a hand. And so, the Macron keeps upping the ante, and all he's going to do is push the French people into open revolt. So, I always think it's funny when people ask me about are you this? Do you do this? I don't talk about myself. I don't talk about my personal situation. I don't talk about my family. I might talk about things like my dog being ill or something. But you have to understand that people like Owen Benjamin and I have the occasional nutcases and stuff who would will use any information they can get about us against us, and so I don't share that kind of stuff. There's no reason to ask me questions like that. That's a good point. Macron is not getting the 4GW. No, he's not at all. He doesn't understand it at all. If your video this morning was about creating epileptic seizures, yeah, I was just testing Streamlabs, or I was testing this OBS to see if the stream even went anywhere. I didn't want to schedule a stream, have a bunch of people show up, and then have it not work. Now, apparently the Streamlabs or the Stream.me streaming is not working. I don't know why that is. Yeah, it says apparently it's not. You can see from the chat that apparently some of the folks there are watching it here rather than there because for whatever reason, Restream didn't pick it up from this, and I don't know why. So, are cities below 1 million a safe bet? They're a better bet, but in general, the fewer people that are around, the better. Anaf says, when the city breaks down, is there a danger that Westerners will shun their heritage even more? No. Aristotle held the city as a central unit of political organization. What happens when that unit fails? Well, what Aristotle considered a city and what we consider a city are two different things. I mean, a big city today is incredibly diverse. It's not actually the same sort of unified political entity that the Aristotelian city is. And so I don't think that, I think what you're doing is you're um, conflating the two different concepts because they both happen to be called city. But no, I think that Westerners are going to turn very strongly back to their roots. I think that you're going to see more, in hard times, people turn to family and religion, and hard times are coming. And so I think that that will be, um, you know, we've been we've been on this long 60-year, 70-year path. The pendulum has swung very, very far towards openness, towards optimism, towards lack of religious faith, towards moral degeneracy. And the farther that it has gone, the harder and faster it's going to swing back. And I believe it's already starting to swing back. You're already starting to see it. You're already starting to see people who were very secular coming back to Christianity, returning to morality, looking to get married and have kids. So, it. Oh, apparently the Stream.me issue doesn't have anything to do with what I'm using. It came up and then it went down. So I think they're having their own separate issues. So, chair shaming. How on earth could you try to shame this chair? This is like the king of stream chairs. So, anyhow, so I would encourage. Let's see. I don't believe anything is going to happen to President Trump. I think that Trump is on top of it. In fact, um, I think that I think that if there's any sort of particularly public um, attack on Trump, then we might finally get that storm that we've all been waiting for. How can we combat despair about the current state of our How can we combat despair about the current state of our nation's culture, Western civilization, and future generally? Focus on what you can control. Focus on your life. Focus on your family. One step at a time. Look what we're doing. We're building. First, we built a store of knowledge with Infogalactic that is not subject to the constant revisionism of the SJWs. Now we're building the social media. Social Galactic is going to be very successful. We're not trying, in fact, partly because we're not trying to, build it up fast and bring in all the eyes so that we can attract somebody to buy it. We're not looking for that. We're looking for quality. And we're looking to build the old-fashioned way. And people will be drawn to that more and more and more over time. And well, yeah, it's true that the elite has completely betrayed practically practically everyone. We're not planning to do a Social Galactic app very soon. It's not necessary. It's already set up for mobile, and we looked into it, and most people who are on Twitter don't actually use the Twitter app. Even when they're on their phones, they use the mobile ready HTML. So we may do one eventually, but we're not interested in trying to. We're not going to waste time trying to get approval from Google and Android and Apple. It's not of interest to us. It is a problem Mountain Mama Bear mentioned that Chase Bank has notified a Proud Boys leader that he's no longer welcome at their bank. All accounts must be closed by April. I mean, that is getting very problematic. I mean, that is getting very mark of the beast. You know, it's not, but you can see how it is related, how it's potentially laying the groundwork. You know, you cannot be part of the financial system if we don't approve of your views. Now, I think that is an insanely dangerous approach. You know, but they don't care. Probably because they must want to crash the system on some level. Because, you know, pushing people into places from which there's no retreat, that just guarantees, you know, what they call war to the knife. Cyber cryptocurrencies are not an answer to that. Yeah, so it'll be let's see. Now that you debated JF, can you debate PZ Myers next? Hey, for all that I have no regard for how JF handled it, I have to give him at least credit for showing up, which is more than PZ Myers ever did. So, you know, say that for him. Programming PC says, I promise you that Vox has been a lonely kid playing Dungeons and Dragons. No, I was never a Dungeons and Dragons player. I was never a big role-playing gamer. I was always a war gamer. But yeah, I did spend a fair amount of time. I mean, I didn't have much to do with anybody except for my best friend. But one thing that you also need to keep in mind is that I was a pretty good athlete. And so I was usually too busy playing sports to be crying over not having an active social life in my childhood. Let's see. Yeah. So, well, hey, I would encourage you all to, if you're not on Social Galactic yet, give it a try. I'll look forward to hearing what you think of it. And we hope to have it set up so people can acquire the non-free accounts in the relatively near future. And, you know, in the meantime, you know, get to know the system, see how you like the features. It still needs a fair amount of improvement, but it's actually very robust. You know, let me see. There are, at the moment, the heck? Okay, there we go. Yeah, at the moment we have 1,836 accounts, and there are currently 432 people concurrently online. Now, that's pretty impressive when you consider that we publicly announced the beta last night. You know, it's going very well. I would just encourage you to be civil, be polite, be reasonable, and it'll all be good. Christina Urso asks, what's up with the new social media platform? Is there one in the works? It's not in the works. It's live. Go to socialgalactic.com. You can sign up, get a free account, and we will, you know, we will be improving it soon. We'll be bringing the EU back online as soon as we get that sorted out. And, you know, we have the different bronze, silver, and gold Pro accounts. We're not making them available yet, but they will be soon. And it's all good. So anyhow, thanks for tuning in. Like I said before, I think if you look at the numbers, the Trumpslide is very much in the works. A couple questions. Can you invert the color? Yes. Does being polite on there also extend to Owen? Yes, you should also be polite to Owen. And let's see. How is Alt Hero Q doing? It's doing extremely well. I think we're done through page 22, and so it's coming along very, very quickly. Brass is bronze. At each level you get more character lengths and more storage. So, yeah, and don't forget to like. Yeah, I don't think we'll make Owen a moderator. We'd like to keep a few people up. Do you have a background with a bed of skulls? Oh yeah. Alt Hero 6 when? This month, very soon. And S. Goglin says, I'm considering listening to this later. Well, you are welcome to. I do have a book that deals with immigration. It's called Cuckservative. Bossman, it would be really good if you could compile the strongest social and economic arguments against immigration. I've already written it. It's called Cuckservative. I wrote it with John Red Eagle. I think you'll find it's got all the arguments in there that you might need. I wouldn't say it's got all of them, but it's certainly got quite a few. So, well, thanks for tuning in tonight. This is the Darkstream. I'm Vox Day.